I don't know what you're talking about. Please don't hurt them.
Stop lying! You know exactly what happens now!
My hands shake as I type the message. 4 years. 4 years of being invisible, of making excuses for someone who never showed up, of believing that love meant accepting crumbs. I'm done, Marcus. I deserve better than someone who forgets I exist. The Manhattan apartment feels suffocating tonight. Rain hammers against the windows of my studio in Hell's Kitchen, the tiny space I can barely afford on my paralegal salary, the kind of apartment where you can touch all 4 walls without moving, where the radiator clangs like it's dying, where 26-year-old Kailani Torres sits on a second-hand couch and finally admits she's wasted 4 years on the wrong person. I hit send before I can second-guess myself. The phone slips from my fingers, clattering onto the coffee table scattered with case files I brought home from the law firm. Evidence of the life I've been building while Marcus built nothing, promising everything, delivering silence. My chest feels tight. Not regret. Something closer to relief mixed with terror. The kind of fear that comes when you finally step off a cliff you've been standing on too long. The phone buzzes. Once. Twice. My stomach twists. Marcus never responds this quickly. Usually it takes him hours, sometimes days, to acknowledge my existence. I reach for the phone, expecting the usual deflection, the practiced apology that means nothing. The message makes my breath catch. Unknown number. I don't know who Marcus is, but if someone let you go, he's an idiot. And whoever you are, I'm not letting you go. I stare at the screen. Read it again. 3 times. Wrong number. I sent the most emotionally vulnerable text of my life to a complete stranger. Heat floods my face. My fingers move automatically, typing an apology that feels inadequate. I'm so sorry, wrong number. Please ignore that message. The response comes immediately. Unknown. I don't think I will. Tell me why you deserve better. The audacity. The sheer nerve of a stranger asking me personal questions. I should block the number. Delete the thread. Pretend this humiliating mistake never happened. Instead, I find myself staring at those words. Tell me why you deserve better. 4 years and Marcus never asked me that. Never wanted to know what I needed, what I dreamed about, what kept me up at night with the weight of feeling insufficient. My phone rings, the unknown number. I answer without thinking. Hello? You didn't answer my question. The voice is deep, controlled with an edge of something I can't quite identify. Authority, maybe, or danger carefully wrapped in civility. I don't know you, I manage. My heart hammers against my ribs. You know I'm someone who thinks you deserve better than Marcus. There's a hint of amusement in his tone. And you know I'm curious enough about a woman who sends breakup texts to strangers that I called. This is insane, but I don't hang up. Is it? You sent that text because you needed someone to hear you. Even if that someone was supposed to be an asshole named Marcus, who clearly doesn't appreciate what he had. He pauses and I hear traffic in the background, the rhythm of a city that never sleeps. So, answer the question, Kailani. Why do you deserve better? My name. How does he? Your name was in your contact info when you texted, he says, reading my silence. Don't worry, I'm not a stalker, just someone with attention to detail. The way he says my name makes something in my chest tighten, like he's tasting each syllable, committing it to memory. I deserve better because I'm more than someone's backup plan, I hear myself say. The words come from somewhere deep, somewhere I've been ignoring for too long. Because I work 60-hour weeks at a law firm where partners treat me like furniture. Because I put myself through paralegal certification while working 2 jobs. Because I remember birthdays and anniversaries and important meetings. Because I show up. Silence on the other end. Not empty silence, the kind that feels full, like he's actually listening. Go on, he says quietly. Because I'm tired of being the person who tries harder. Who cares more? Who makes plans that get cancelled because something better came along? My voice cracks, because I spent 4 years waiting for someone to see me, really see me, and he never did. He's a fool. The certainty in those 3 words does something to me. Anyone who makes you wait isn't worth having. I should end this call. This stranger knows nothing about my life, my relationship, my years of hoping Marcus would grow up and grow into the person he promised to become. You don't know me, I say again, weaker this time. I know you're someone who texts breakup messages with no apology, no explanation, just a statement of worth. I know you're someone who works herself to exhaustion for people who don't appreciate it. I know your voice shakes when you talk about being invisible. Another pause. And I know you didn't hang up when you should have, which means part of you wants this conversation. He's right. God help me, he's right. This is insane, I repeat. You said that already. Now there's definite amusement. I'm Dante. And you, Kailani Torres from Hell's Kitchen, who deserves infinitely better than Marcus, are the most interesting wrong number I've ever received. Dante. The name feels dangerous on my tongue. Have coffee with me. My laugh comes out harsh. You're asking me on a date because I accidentally texted you a breakup message? I'm asking you for coffee because you're someone who finally chose herself, even if it was by accident. That kind of courage is rare. His voice drops lower. And because I want to know more about the woman brave enough to walk away but still questions if she deserves better. I don't date strangers. Then let's stop being strangers tomorrow, 9 a.m. There's a place in Bryant Park, Kiara's Coffee. I'll be the one who thinks you're worth showing up for. He ends the call before I can respond. I sit in my tiny apartment, phone pressed against my chest, rain still hammering the windows. Somewhere in this city of 8 million people, a man named Dante just made me feel more seen than Marcus did in 4 years. If you're loving this story already, drop an emoji in the comments. Let me know if you've ever sent a message to the wrong person. This is about to get intense. I don't sleep that night. Instead, I pace my apartment, replay the conversation, analyze every word like it's evidence in a case I'm building. The rational part of my brain, the part that passed the paralegal exam with flying colours, that cross-references legal precedents without breaking a sweat, screams warnings. Stranger, phone call, no last name, meeting in person. But there's another part of me, the part that's been sleeping for 4 years while I waited for Marcus to notice I existed. That part is wide awake and thrumming with something that feels dangerously like hope. At 6 a.m., I give up on sleep entirely. Shower. Stand in front of my closet. What do you wear to meet a stranger who called you courageous? The pencil skirts and blouses I wear to the firm feel wrong, too formal, too much armour. I settle on dark jeans, a cream sweater that makes my brown skin glow, leather jacket. Casual enough to run if necessary, put together enough to show I'm someone worth knowing. My phone stays silent, no text from Marcus. 4 years and he hasn't even noticed I ended it. By 8:45 a.m., I'm standing outside Kiara's Coffee in Bryant Park, November wind cutting through my jacket, second-guessing everything. This is madness. Meeting a man whose last name I don't know because he said the right words at the right moment. I should leave, go to work, forget this ever happened. You came. The voice behind me, deep, controlled, exactly as I remember from last night, makes me turn. And my breath stops. Dante is tall, well over 6 feet, with the kind of presence that makes everyone in his vicinity unconsciously step back. Dark hair styled precisely, sharp jawline shadowed with deliberate stubble, and eyes. God, his eyes. Deep brown, almost black, assessing me with an intensity that feels almost physical. He wears a charcoal suit tailored perfectly to broad shoulders, expensive watch glinting at his wrist. Everything about him screams power and money and danger kept carefully leashed. You look terrified, he says, and there's that hint of amusement again. I'm meeting a stranger because he called me courageous. Terror seems appropriate. His mouth curves. Not quite a smile, something more dangerous than that. Fair enough. But I did say I'd be the one who shows up for you. And here I am. Here you are. My voice sounds steadier than I feel, with a last name I don't know and intentions I can't guess. Marchetti. Dante Marchetti. He extends his hand. And my intentions are simple. Coffee. Conversation. Getting to know the woman who accidentally texted me at exactly the right moment. I take his hand. His grip is firm, warm, and sends electricity straight up my arm. Professional. Controlled. But his thumb brushes across my knuckles. Deliberate. Intimate. Before he releases me. Shall we? He gestures to the coffee shop. Inside Chiara's, the morning crowd hasn't hit yet. Dante guides me to a corner table, one hand resting at the small of my back, never quite touching but close enough that I feel the heat of him through my sweater. He orders for both of us, somehow knowing I take my latte with an extra shot and cinnamon, and that should annoy me, but instead it feels like being seen. So, I say once we're seated, warm cup between my hands. Dante Marchetti, what do you do that requires suits this expensive at 9 a.m. on a Thursday? I run a family business. Import-export, construction, real estate investments. The answer comes easily. Too easily. What do you do that requires working 60-hour weeks for people who treat you like furniture? I'm a paralegal at Morrison & Hayes. I wrap my fingers tighter around the cup. Criminal defense. I prepare cases, manage discovery, basically do everything except argue in court. But you want to argue in court? It's not a question. How does he know that? I see things other people miss, I admit. Patterns in evidence, inconsistencies in statements. I'm good at reading people, understanding motivations. I'd be a good lawyer. So why aren't you? Law school costs money I don't have. Student loans I can't afford. And Marcus? I stop. Sorry, you don't want to hear about him. I asked, didn't I? Dante leans back, that intense gaze never leaving my face. Tell me about the man who didn't deserve you. So I do. And it feels like confession, like bleeding out years of stored-up frustration to someone who actually wants to hear it. Marcus, who had so much potential, who was supposed to get serious, get a real job, help build a future, who instead bounced between gigs, borrowed money, promised next month would be different, who forgot my birthday 3 years running, who cancelled our anniversary dinner because his friends wanted to watch a game, who looked through me more often than at me. 4 years, I finish. 4 years of making excuses, of believing things would change, of feeling guilty for wanting more. Dante's expression has gone cold. He should be grateful you gave him 4 minutes. Men like that don't change. They just find new people to disappoint. Harsh. True. He takes a slow sip of his espresso. You texted him that breakup message last night? Yeah. Has he responded? The question makes my chest tight. I pull out my phone. Check. Nothing. No, I say quietly, he hasn't. Good. Dante's voice carries absolute certainty. That means when I ask you to dinner tonight, you won't feel conflicted about saying yes. I laugh. Can't help it. You're very confident. I'm very aware of what I want. He sets down his cup and suddenly those dark eyes are locked on mine with an intensity that makes my stomach flip. And right now, I want to take you somewhere nicer than this. Somewhere you can tell me more about patterns you see in evidence and why you're brilliant at reading people. Somewhere I can prove that showing up isn't extraordinary. It's the bare minimum you should expect. Dante, 1 dinner. If you hate it, we part as friends who met through an entertaining accident. If you don't... His mouth curves again, and this time it's definitely dangerous. We figure out what this is together. I should say no. Should cite safety, common sense, the fact that I literally just ended a 4-year relationship 12 hours ago. Instead, I hear myself ask, what kind of dinner? The kind where I pick you up at 7. Where something that makes you feel powerful. He stands, and I realize our coffee meeting is over. And Kailani? Yes? Bring your courage. You're going to need it. He leaves cash on the table, Too much cash, the kind of tip that makes the barista's eyes go wide, and walks out of Kiara's coffee like he owns the entire city block. I sit frozen, heart pounding, phone clutched in my hand. A text comes through. Dante's number. Now you have my contact info. Use it whenever you need, reminding that you deserve better. See you at 7. Below that, an address in Tribeca, the kind of neighborhood where apartments start at 3 million. What am I doing? I text back before I can overthink it. What's the dress code for dinner with someone whose last name I learned 20 minutes ago? His response is immediate, powerful. Hadn't you heard? And Kailani, I already know you're powerful. Tonight is just about showing you that I see it. Work passes in a blur. I sit at my desk at Morrison & Hayes, supposedly reviewing discovery for the Castellano case, a high-profile criminal defense that's been consuming the firm for months. But my mind keeps returning to coffee with Dante. The way he looked at me, the certainty in his voice when he said I deserve better. Torres. Bradley Morrison, senior partner, doesn't look up from his computer. I need the witness statements cross-referenced by 2 p.m. Already done. I slide the file onto his desk. Organised by timeline, highlighted inconsistencies, potential impeachment material flagged, the kind of thorough work I've been doing for 3 years without acknowledgement. He grunts. Doesn't say thank you. Never does. My phone buzzes. Hidden under my desk where Morrison can't see. Dante. Still thinking about that coffee. How's your day? The smile that crosses my face is involuntary. Kailani. Typical. Making lawyers look competent while getting 0 credit. Yours? Dante. Handling family business. Missing the woman who accidentally changed my Thursday. I bite my lip. This man, this stranger, is texting me like we've known each other for years. Like I matter. Torres. Stop wasting time and get me the Castellano surveillance footage. Right. Back to reality. By 6:45 p.m, I'm standing in front of my closet having a complete mental breakdown. Powerful. He said powerful. I settle on a black dress that hits just above the knee. Simple. Elegant. The kind of thing I bought for a firm event and never wore because Marcus said it made me look too serious. Red heels, gold hoops, hair down in natural waves. When I look in the mirror, I see someone I barely recognize. Someone who looks confident. Worth knowing. Powerful. My phone buzzes. 6:58 p.m. Dante. Outside. No rush. Take your time being beautiful. I look out my 4th floor window. A black car idles at the curb. Not just any car. Something sleek and expensive that doesn't belong in Hell's Kitchen. And standing beside it, dark suit, hands in pockets, looking up at my building like he has all the time in the world. Dante. My stomach flips. I grab my clutch and head downstairs before I can talk myself out of this. The November air bites as I step outside. Dante's gaze tracks my approach, and something in his expression shifts. Not obvious. A subtle tightening around his eyes, a barely there catch in his breath. You wore the dress, he says quietly. You said powerful. I underestimated the effect. He opens the car door. You look devastating, Kailani. Devastating. Not pretty, not beautiful, devastating. I slip into the back seat. Leather. Subtle cologne. The kind of car that costs more than I make in 2 years. Dante slides in beside me. Close enough that I feel the warmth radiating from him. Smell his cologne. Something woodsy and dark and expensive. Where are we going? I ask as the car pulls into traffic. Somewhere we can talk without interruption. His dark eyes hold mine. Somewhere I can focus entirely on getting to know you. The drive takes 15 minutes. We end up at a restaurant in Tribeca I've walked past but never entered. The kind of place with no sign, just a discreet door and a bouncer who nods at Dante like they're old friends. Inside, it's beautiful. Low lighting, intimate tables, the kind of understated elegance that speaks of old money and careful exclusivity. A hostess leads us to a private corner table, and I realize the entire section has been reserved, just for us. This is, I start. Too much? Dante pulls out my chair. I don't do things halfway. I was going to say intimidating. Good. He takes the seat across from me, and under the table his knee brushes mine. Deliberate. You should always feel a little off balance around me. Keeps things interesting. A waiter appears with wine, already selected, already poured. The kind of service that happens when you're expected. To wrong numbers, Dante raises his glass. And the courage to choose yourself. We drink. The wine is incredible. Smooth and complex and definitely not something I could afford. So, I say, setting down my glass, tell me about the family business that requires private restaurant sections and very expensive cars. What do you want? To know? The truth. Something flickers in his expression. Respect, maybe. Most people don't ask for that. I'm not most people. No. His gaze intensifies. You're definitely not. He leans back, studying me with that unnerving focus. My family has been in New York for 4 generations. We started in import-export, legitimate business, despite what people assume. Over time, we expanded into construction, real estate, private security. We employ over 3,000 people, pay our taxes, follow the law. Mostly, his mouth curves. There are grey areas in every industry. We operate in some of those grey areas. You're telling me you're connected. I'm telling you my family has influence. That influence occasionally requires flexibility. I should be scared, should be running. Instead, I find myself leaning forward. And what's your role in this flexible family business? I handle operations, make sure things run smoothly, address problems before they become crises. He pauses. And I protect what's mine. The way he says mine makes heat pool in my stomach. I'm not yours, I say, but my voice lacks conviction. Not yet. His certainty is absolute. But you will be. Are you still with me? Drop a comment if this story is giving you feelings. Comment what you think Dante's real business is. This is about to get so much more intense. Dinner unfolds like a dream. Courses appear, truffle risotto, seared scallops, filet that melts on my tongue, but I barely taste any of it because all my focus is on Dante. On the way, he listens when I talk about growing up in Washington Heights, about my mother who cleaned houses to put me through community college, about my dreams of becoming a prosecutor who actually gives a damn about justice. You want to put criminals away, he says, and there's something careful in his tone now. I want to put away people who hurt others, people who use power to destroy lives. I meet his eyes. There's a difference. Is there? You tell me. I set down my fork. Your family business. This influence you mentioned. Do you hurt people? Silence. Long enough that my heart starts hammering. I protect my family, Dante says finally. Sometimes that requires making difficult choices. But I don't hurt innocent people, Kailani, and I don't tolerate anyone who does. That's not really an answer. It's the only answer I can give you right now. He reaches across the table, his hand covering mine. The touch sends electricity through my entire body. But I'll tell you this, everything I do for a reason. And right now, my reason for being here is you. Dante, I know this is fast. I know you just left someone. I know you're probably terrified and questioning every decision that led you here. His thumb brushes across my knuckles and I can't breathe. But I also know that the moment I heard your voice last night, something shifted. You're not a wrong number, Kailani. You're the right person who found me at exactly the right time. My phone buzzes in my clutch. I ignore it. It buzzes again. And again. You should check that, Dante says quietly, releasing my hand. I pull out my phone. 7 missed calls from an unknown number. 3 voicemails. And then... Marcus, we need to talk. This is serious. Call me now. My chest tightens. 4 years and now he wants to talk? What's wrong? Dante's voice sharpens. Marcus, I open the voicemail. Marcus's voice comes through, panicked, slurred. Kailani, I fucked up. I owe people money. Bad people. They're saying. They're coming for me. I need your help. Please. I know I didn't. I know I was shit. But please, they said they'll hurt people I care about. They mentioned you by name. Kai, I'm so sorry. I need... The message cuts off. My hand shakes. This can't be real. But there's another voicemail. Different voice, deeper, accented. Miss Torres, your boyfriend borrowed money he cannot repay. Certain parties are unhappy. If you care about his safety, you'll convince him to address his debt. Consider this a courtesy warning. The phone slips from my fingers. Dante catches it before it hits the table. He listens to both messages, and his expression goes absolutely cold. The kind of cold that makes the temperature in the room drop 10 degrees. When did you break up with Marcus? His voice is controlled. Too controlled. Last night. The text I sent you. And suddenly, 12 hours later, he's in debt to dangerous people who know your name. Dante sets down my phone with careful precision. That's not a coincidence, Kailani. What are you saying? I'm saying someone is using Marcus to get to you. His dark eyes hold mine. The question is why? My throat goes dry. I'm a paralegal. I have nothing anyone would want. You work at Morrison & Hayes, criminal defense. You mentioned preparing the Castellano case. I nod slowly. Lorenzo Castellano is currently on trial for racketeering, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. The evidence against him is substantial. Dante's jaw tightens. And if someone wanted access to that evidence, wanted to know what the defense strategy is, wanted to sabotage the case, they'd need someone on the inside, I finish. My stomach drops. You think someone is threatening Marcus to get to me? To force me to give them information? I think you accidentally stumbled into something dangerous by ending a relationship that someone else was counting on. He stands abruptly. We need to leave. Now. Wait, Kailani. He pulls me to my feet, one hand firm on my elbow. I need you to trust me. Those voicemails weren't warnings. They were threats. And whoever sent them knows where you work, who you care about, and exactly how to leverage your compassion against you. This is insane. I can't just... Yes, you can. His hands frame my face, forcing me to look at him. Because the alternative is going home to your apartment, where they know you live, or going to work tomorrow where they know you'll be, or trying to save Marcus, who got himself into this mess in the first place. He's still a person. He's a liability. Dante's voice goes hard. And right now, you're the target. So you're coming with me, and we're going to figure out who's behind this, and then we're going to handle it. Handle it how? His expression answers before his words do. The way my family handles threats to what's ours. Dante's place in Tribeca is everything I expected and nothing I'm prepared for. Penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Furniture that costs more than my yearly salary. Art that belongs in museums. And security. 3 men positioned at strategic points, all wearing suits, all with that dangerous stillness of people trained to handle violence. This is your home? I manage. One of them. Dante guides me inside, hand never leaving the small of my back. Make yourself comfortable. We need to talk. Comfortable? Right. In a penthouse guarded by men who look like they eat bullets for breakfast. I sink onto a leather sofa that probably costs more than my car. Dante pours 2 glasses of whiskey, hands me one, then sits beside me. Close. His thigh presses against mine. Tell me everything about the Castellano case, he says. Every detail. So I do. Because despite the insanity of this situation, despite meeting this man less than 24 hours ago, some instinct tells me I can trust him. Lorenzo Castellano is accused of running an illegal gambling operation that funneled money through legitimate businesses. The prosecution claims he ordered 3 murders to protect his operation. The defense, Morrison & Hayes, is arguing insufficient evidence, coerced testimony, chain of custody issues with the physical evidence. And you work on the defense side. I prepare everything. Witness statements, evidence catalogues, timeline construction. I see everything before the lawyers do. Dante's jaw tightens, which means if someone wanted to know what the defense has, wanted to discredit evidence, wanted to sabotage the case. They'd need access to what I see. My voice drops. But why? Why would anyone care about Castellano getting convicted? Because Lorenzo Castellano isn't working alone. He has partners, other families who benefit from his operations. Dante sets down his glass. If Castellano goes down and takes those partners with him, it creates a power vacuum. People don't like vacuums. They get desperate. You know him, Castellano. Our families have overlap. Dante's expression gives nothing away. But I'm not involved in gambling operations, and I sure as hell don't order murders. There are lines I don't cross. But you know people who do. I know a lot of people who do a lot of things. His hand covers mine. Right now, what matters is keeping you safe. By bringing me here? To your home? I laugh, but it sounds brittle. What if Marcus is actually in danger? What if those threats are real, and I'm hiding while he gets hurt? Marcus borrowed money from dangerous people. That was his choice. Dante's voice hardens. You don't owe him your safety. He's not a bad person. He's just weak, irresponsible, willing to put you in danger to save himself. Dante turns to face me fully. Kailani, I need you to hear this. Men like Marcus don't change. They don't suddenly grow a conscience or a backbone. They find new people to disappoint, new situations to fail at, new excuses for why nothing is ever their fault. The truth of it settles like stones in my stomach. I wasted 4 years, I whisper. You survived 4 years. There's a difference. His hand moves to my face, thumb brushing across my cheekbone. And now you're here, with me, and I'm not letting anyone hurt you. I'm getting emotional over here. Comment if you've ever felt invisible in a relationship. This story is about to take a dark turn. You're not ready for what happens next. I don't go home that night, or the next. Dante insists I stay at the penthouse. Until we know who's behind the threats. And I don't argue because every time I think about my apartment in Hell's Kitchen, my skin crawls with the sensation of being watched. Friday morning, I call in sick to Morrison and Hayes. First time in 3 years. Bradley Morrison sounds annoyed but doesn't push, and I feel a twisted satisfaction at his irritation. Dante has already left for family business by the time I wake up. There's coffee waiting, still hot, with a note in strong, angular handwriting. Make yourself at home. Dominic is outside if you need anything. Don't leave without telling me. D. I shower in a bathroom bigger than my entire studio, using products that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Stand in front of windows that overlook all of Manhattan and feel like I'm living someone else's life. This isn't real. Can't be real. My phone rings. Unknown number. My heart stops. Hello? Miss Torres? The voice from the voicemail. Deep. Accented. Dangerous. We need to discuss your boyfriend's debt. He's not my boyfriend anymore. That makes this simpler. A pause. We need information about the Castellano trial. Specifically, we need copies of the witness statements the defense has prepared. You have access to these documents. My stomach turns to ice. I'm not giving you anything. Then Marcus dies. Slowly. Painfully. And then we visit your mother in Washington Heights. Such a shame. Her building has such terrible fire safety violations. The threat registers like a physical blow. You stay away from my mother, then give us what we want. Sunday evening. We'll send location. The call disconnects. I'm shaking, can't breathe, can't think past the image of my mother's building, the stairs she climbs every day, the apartment where she's lived for 30 years. The door opens. Dante walks in, takes one look at my face, and crosses the space between us in 3 strides. What happened? I tell him everything. The call, the threats, the deadline. By the time I finish, Dante's expression has gone absolutely lethal. They threatened your mother. I nod, unable to speak. Give me your phone. His voice is controlled. Too controlled. The kind of control that comes before violence. I hand it over. He makes 3 calls in rapid Italian, each one clipped and furious. Then he turns back to me. You're not going anywhere Sunday. You're not giving them anything. And your mother is being moved to a secure location within the hour. Dante, I can't just... Yes, you can. He frames my face with both hands, forcing me to look at him. Listen to me very carefully. These people made a mistake. They threatened what's mine. And now they're going to learn what happens when you come, after a Marchetti. I'm not yours. Yes, he says and kisses me. It's not gentle, not soft. It's claiming and possessive and desperate, and I kiss him back because, God help me, I need this. Need him. Need to feel like someone actually gives a damn if I live or die. When he pulls back, we're both breathing hard. I'm not letting them hurt you, Dante says against my mouth. I'm not letting anyone take what's mine. Do you understand? I understand you're insane. Probably. His mouth curves against mine. But I'm insane about you, Kailani Torres. And I keep what's mine. Saturday passes in a blur of phone calls and strategic planning that I'm mostly excluded from. Dante's men come and go. Dangerous-looking men in expensive suits who talk in rapid Italian and keep referencing the Moretti problem. Who are the Morettis? I finally ask Saturday night. Dante's expression darkens. A family that's been trying to expand into our territory for the past year. Lorenzo Castellano laundered money for them. When he got arrested, it threatened their entire operation. So they need the defense strategy to sabotage the case? They need leverage. Information they can trade or use, and you... He pulls me against his side on the sofa. You're their way in. Because I'm nobody. A paralegal no one would miss. You're not nobody. His voice goes fierce. You're everything, and they chose wrong when they came after you. I should be terrified. Should be overwhelmed by the danger, the threats, the reality that I've somehow stumbled into a mob war. Instead, I feel weirdly safe, protected. Dante's phone buzzes. He reads the message and his jaw tightens. What? They moved up the timeline. They want the files tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Battery Park. That's a trap, obviously. He stands, pulling me with him, which is exactly why we're going to give them what they want. Sunday morning arrives too fast. I wake up in Dante's bed, where I've spent the last 2 nights, though we haven't done more than sleep wrapped around each other, to find him already awake, dressed in all black, with that dangerous stillness of someone preparing for violence. I don't want you to do this, I say quietly. I know. He sits on the edge of the bed, hand cupping my face. But this ends today. One way or another, you're going to be safe. Promise me you'll be careful. Always. He kisses me. Soft, gentle. Nothing like the controlled fury I see simmering in his dark eyes. Stay here. Dominic and Marco will be with you. Don't leave for any reason. Dante? I'll come back. His certainty is absolute. I always come back to what's mine. He leaves before I can respond. The next 4 hours are torture. I pace Dante's penthouse, watched by his guards, unable to do anything but wait and imagine worst-case scenarios. What if something goes wrong? What if they hurt him? What if I never see him again because I sent a breakup text to the wrong number and dragged him into my mess? At 1 p.m, my phone rings. Dante. It's done, he says. His voice sounds tired. Pack your things. We're going to see someone. Who? Marcus. The hospital in Queens is nothing like Dante's world of penthouses and expensive restaurants. It smells like disinfectant and fear, and Marcus looks terrible. His face is bruised, one arm in a cast, and when he sees me walk in with Dante, his expression goes from relief to terror in seconds. Kai, he starts. Don't. I hold up one hand. Just don't. They said they'd kill me if I didn't. You borrowed money from the Morettis to cover gambling debts. Dante's voice is cold. Then you told them about Kailani's job, gave them her information, made her a target to buy yourself time. Marcus's silence is confirmation enough. The betrayal hits me like a physical blow. You did this. You put me in danger to save yourself. I didn't think they'd actually hurt you. You didn't think, my voice cracks. You never think, Marcus. About consequences, about other people, about anyone but yourself. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry you're in a hospital with broken bones because you finally pissed off people who don't accept excuses. I step back and Dante's hand immediately finds the small of my back, steadying me. I spent 4 years making excuses for you, believing you'd change, waiting for you to grow up, and you repaid me by using me as collateral for your debts. Tears stream down Marcus's face. I loved you. You don't know what love is. The certainty in my voice surprises me. Love shows up. Love protects. Love doesn't trade the person they claim to care about to dangerous criminals for breathing room. The Morettis, Marcus's voice shakes. What happened to them? They've been handled. Dante's tone makes it clear that's all the information Marcus gets. You're alive because Kailani asked me not to kill you. Remember that. We leave Marcus crying in his hospital bed and I don't look back. Outside, November air bites through my jacket. Dante pulls me against his side, and I let myself lean into his warmth. Thank you, I say quietly. For what? For keeping me safe. For handling this. For, my voice breaks, for making me feel like I matter. Kailani. He stops walking, turns to face me fully, both hands framing my face. You don't matter to me. You're everything to me. We've known each other 4 days. And I knew the moment I heard your voice that you were going to change my life. His thumb brushes across my cheekbone. I'm not good at this, at feelings and romance and saying the right things, but I'm very good at knowing what I want. And I want you, in my life, in my bed, in my future. I want everything with you. This is insane. Probably. His mouth curves. But you sent a breakup text to the wrong number and I answered. That's not coincidence. That's fate. You believe in fate? I believe in you. He kisses me. Soft, sweet, nothing like the controlled violence I know he's capable of. And I believe you deserve someone who shows up, who protects you, who looks at you like you're the most important thing in the room. Is that what you do? Every single time. His certainty wraps around me like armor. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to quit that job at Morrison and Hayes where they treat you like furniture. I'm going to pay for law school. Don't argue, it's happening. And you're going to become the prosecutor you're meant to be. Dante. And while you're busy putting away actual criminals, you're going to live with me, date me. Let me prove that men like Marcus are the exception, not the rule. You're a mob boss. I'm a businessman who operates in grey areas. His eyes gleam with amusement. And you're a future prosecutor who sees nuance. We'll figure it out. This is crazy. Yes, he pulls me closer, but it's our kind of crazy. And I'm not letting you go, Kailani. Not ever. I kiss him. Hard. Desperate. Grateful. Okay, I whisper against his mouth. Okay? Okay, I'll let you pay for law school. Okay, I'll move in. Okay, I'll let you prove that not all men are Marcus. I pull back just enough to see his face. Okay, Dante Marchetti, I'm yours. The smile that crosses his face is devastating. Good, he says, because I've been yours since the moment you sent that text to the wrong number. Wait until you see what happens next. This ending is going to wreck you in the best way. Comment if you're rooting for Kailani and Dante. This story proves that sometimes the wrong number is exactly the right person. 6 months later, the courtroom feels like home. I stand at the prosecution table, case files organized perfectly, opening statement rehearsed until every word flows naturally. My first trial as an actual law student, summer internship with the DA's office, assisting on a racketeering case that's been 3 years in the making. Across the courtroom, Bradley Morrison sits with the defense. He didn't take my resignation well. Took it even worse when I showed up 6 months later, prosecuting a case against one of his former clients. All rise. The judge enters. I smooth my suit, charcoal grey, perfectly tailored, the kind of armor that makes me feel powerful, and catch Dante's eye from the gallery. He's there, front row, like he has been every single day of this internship, wearing one of his expensive suits, looking dangerous and proud and absolutely certain I'm going to destroy the competition. The trial proceeds exactly as I prepared. My analysis of the evidence timeline catches defense off guard. My cross-examination of their key witness reveals contradictions they didn't anticipate. By the time we recess for lunch, I can see Morrison's frustration. Outside the courtroom, Dante pulls me into an empty hallway. "You're brilliant," he says, kissing me hard. "Absolutely devastating." "I'm just doing the job." "You're changing lives. Making justice actually means something." His pride is palpable. "This is what you were meant to do." I lean into him, breathing in his cologne, feeling safe and powerful and exactly where I'm supposed to be. "Thank you," I say quietly. "For what?" "For answering when I texted the wrong number, for keeping me safe, for believing I could do this." "Kailani?" He tilts my chin up, dark eyes serious. "You did this. Your intelligence, your courage, your refusal to let people like Morrison or Marcus make you feel small." He kisses me softly. "I just made sure you had the space to become who you always were. I love you." The words come easily now. 6 months of falling deeper every day. 6 months of learning what it means to be with someone who actually shows up. "I love you." He says it like a vow. My brilliant, devastating prosecutor who sent a breakup text to the wrong number and changed my entire life. Best wrong number ever. Damn right. He grins, and I see the dangerous mob boss and the man who makes me coffee every morning and the future I'm building with someone who actually deserves me. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. My heart stops for just a second. Old fear. Old trauma. But then I see the message. Unknown. Wrong number. But if you know a good prosecutor, I need help with a case. I show Dante. He laughs. "Going to answer it?" "Absolutely." I type back quickly. "Right number. Tell me about your case. Because sometimes the wrong number is exactly the right person at exactly the right time. And sometimes courage means taking a chance on someone who sees you for who you really are. Did this story touch your heart? If Kailani and Dante's journey gave you feelings, drop an emoji and let me know in the comments. Should I write more wrong number romance stories? Your support means everything. Don't forget to subscribe for more emotional, dramatic romance stories that'll keep you hooked until the very last word. The end.